Can I create a fully functional horror game in a week?
Are ya ready, kids?
Aye, aye!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye!
Oh!
Scream Jam 2024. 7 days to make any kind of horror game. The only rule is not to work on the game before the jam begins. But they didn't say anything about planning. So here's the game idea. We all know what weeping angels are. They've been used in so many indie horror games by now, they've become a stereotype, but they're always hunting the player. What if the player was hunting them? What if you went into a room full of statues and you had to find out which one was an angel?
Hi, how are you?
Or better yet, what if they could be any object? Like a mimic from D&D. I want to make a scary prop hunt. So I got to thinking, what is my game gonna look like? What are the environments gonna be? And the fact of the matter is that I am not an artist. I need my assets ready-made. Fortunately for me, Cinti are sponsoring the Game Jam and I have a bunch of their assets from Humble Bundles in the past, and a few of those are fantasy/dungeon based, so I'm gonna really lean into this whole D&D hunting mimics down kind of thing. With that in mind, I needed some mimics for the player to hunt, so I started researching online, and unfortunately the only mimics people seem to make are those contained in chests, the traditional type, so there will only be one enemy type, but I did manage to find this cool looking low poly one, so I'm going to be taking that nice and cheap. I wrote up a quick checklist in the old Trello page to keep me on track in the beginning, and now we wait. It's time! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1! -1, -2. Oh, okay, it started. I started by making the project and importing all the necessary assets. The game is going to be in first person, so when no one was looking, I stole this free FPS controller off the Unity store, then began work on the mimic. All I wanted at this point was your basic weeping angel, for it to move when the player looked away and stay still otherwise. I added this delay before moving aspect to it, so after the player looks away I can choose how many seconds it waits before it starts to move. I did this so the player couldn't do their classic flick back and forth to see which mimic had moved, adding an adjustable difficulty to the mimic AI. Mimics can tell when a player is looking at them through this patch of script, which essentially tells the mimic if it's within the player's cone of vision, represented by this blue line. This is adjustable too, so I can make the later levels harder by making the mimic see the player's vision as larger than it is, so they won't move unless the player has their back directly to them. Finally, I needed some way for the player to actually kill the mimic once they identified it. I didn't want them to go around smacking every chest until they got lucky, so the weapon had to be a one-shot thing. Initially I thought a bow, but I couldn't get the strings to pull back, and a sword felt too inaccurate. Eventually I decided on throwing knives, because you have limited ammo and it didn't require any animation beyond rotating it, but I didn't have time to make it actually kill the mimic. Unfortunately, I had to work for actual money today, so I didn't get to do too much on the game. I added in a scraping noise for when the mimics move, and it instantly cuts out when you look at them. I also made the knives actually kill the mimics when they're hit, and added in the death sound from the thing.
Release the brainstorm to make your motherfucking brain
Stop the music. I'm done. I wanted this video to be out for Halloween. I've done nothing. I've been just editing for too long, and I do nothing. I do nothing with it. You understand? So I'm done with this day format. I'm just gonna do all the days in one. No more editing. I've re-recorded the whole voiceover 5 times now. So this is it. We're doing it live. Fuck it. Here we go. days 3 to 7. Here we go. Day 3, I added in sound and particle effects to the knife collisions, red for blood and yellow for the environment. The game records how many knives you have and how many mimics are dead. If these numbers don't equal each other, you're gonna have a bad time. The mimics can kill you by running up to you once you miss a knife or by sneaking up behind you. But how should the mimics kill you? That's like the whole payoff, it's gotta be good. Should it be a FNAF style of reusable jump scare? Well, yes, but actually no. It's sudden enough to technically be a jump scare, but without actually being scary. Good job past me. I just force the players to stare at the mimic as it performs the kill animation, like in Alien Isolation or that Granny game. Essentially, this is a puzzle game, and if the player's gonna die, I want them to know who killed them so they can learn from it. I created this randomized spawn mechanism so the player can't memorize the maps, and that adds a bit of replayability to it. And that's it. There it is, it's a finished game. If I make a few maps for it, it'll be a fully realised game. I'm certain that I'm not just gonna waste my remaining time on superfluous crap. Day 4, I improved the Mimic AI so the player can't see them through walls and randomised their rotation so the player can't just check which chest is facing them. Then I made a pause and main menu and it doubled the current playtime because I still haven't made a goddamn level! Day 5, I realised my horror game wasn't scary and my father was right, but about what I am still yet to work out. Anyway, darkness is spooky, so now the game is dark. Like super dark, like look at this difference. Not too dark, otherwise you can't see the thing that you're supposed to be afraid of not being able to see, you see? So I gave the player a torch, they have just enough light to see a small area around them. They light it up at the beginning of the level and that acts as a timer, like the time it takes for the fire to go out. Once the torch goes out, all the mimics activate because the player is technically blind. You know what else is scary? Knowledge. Because the more you know that you know nothing, so you're better off not knowing anything in the first place. So level 1, set in a library. A few walls for the mimic to hide round. After playtesting I settled on 80 real chests, 5 mimics and a 2-minute torch, as most of the playtesters died. Once all the mimics are dead, the house lights go up, the door opens and happy music plays.
I'm almost there.
Day 6 and there's no tutorial. I'd be damned if I was going to do one of those control screens, so I made a corridor, did some stellar voice acting.
Ah, adventurer, welcome to my humble abode.
And played with the game controller spaghetti until everything worked and there was a defenseless mimic for the player to take their childhood out of. I added in some sound effects for different floor types, so mimics would be quieter and so more dangerous when moving over carpet, and the player would notice the flooring by their own footsteps, right? Just interjecting here, it's broken. There's no more player footstep sounds. All the code is there. It's there in the earliest build of the game, but then I did some bug fixes, and for whatever reason that broke it again, and I'm not working anymore on this. So if you do play the most recent version of the game, the footsteps are just gone. Day 7, the last day, and I was done. The game works. There isn't much of it to play, so I did what I did best, and I procrastinated making a level. I added in music. Then end of the day, in a mad panic, I made level 2 in a cramped crypt. And you know what? It took me half an hour. I'm so mad. I could have made so many levels, but no, better change the footstep noises, and they broke so often. This last level only has 1 mimic, but it is the hardest one. There's only 45 seconds worth of torch, and the mimic waits 10 seconds before moving after you turn your back, so you really gotta be smart about it. I sent it off to my friends to test, and it's like they don't tell you as a game designer, is that every player is a massive profanity. If they can break your game, they will. I put in these cute little coffins as a nice environmental thing, and they decided to jump on them to prevent dying to the mimics. I mean, who does that? Just die! So I got rid of the coffins, and they still found stupid places to jump that broke the game, so I found this cool solution, right? Using Newton's second law and this baseball bat, I broke the player's kneecaps, so no more jumping.
My leg!
At this point, the jam ended, so I released it. It's free, go play it, link in the description. In the end, only 7 people played and rated the game, and it got a 3 out of 5. Not bad. Frankly, it could have been a lot scarier, and really that's the only criteria that matters. So yeah, thanks for watching. Play the game, subscribe, all that. I'll see you in 6 months when I've finally made another level or something along these. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a game in like a year and a half. Shut up!